Good day, everyone. So, I am Jovelyn Piminanda, the presenter for this topic. It's all about global demography and global migration. So, from the very start, from since our high school, pinag-uusapan na natin kung ano itong demography or the demographic. Pag sinabi nating demography is, it's involved dito yung number ng population. At the same time, it involved din dito yung mga numbers of our income. In short, our economic population. Sa demography is, hindi lang pinag-uusapan dito yung population ng tao, kundi pinag-uusapan dito yung population ng ating economic or the numbers of our income in our economic. Pag sinabi naman natin global migration as from the world itself, migrate, migration is, it is an act of process to move in a other country or in a other province or city. Yun ang sinasabi nating migration. So, in this session is malalaman natin kung ano ba talaga yung tinutukoy ng global demography and the global migration. So now, let's start. Global demography is a complex discipline that requires the integration of various social scientific data. Of course, it's involved the scientific data to count the population of a certain country and to count the income of a certain economic population. Yun yung sinasabi ng global demography. So, ano ba yung sinasabi ko na economic population? In economic population, it's involved the rural families view multiple children and large kinship networks as critical investments. Urban families may not have the same kinship network anymore because couples live on their own or because they move out of the farmlands. The 1980 United Nations report on urban and rural population growth states that 85% of the world rural population in 1975 and are projected to contain 90% by the end of the 20th century. So, itong si economic population, it's involved dito yung sinasabi dito ng kinikita ng isang pamilya within a city or within a country. So, itong economy and population, it's something like connected because, kumbaga hindi uubra or hindi aandar ang ating ekonomiya without the population of a certain country. So, next is the perils of overpopulation. Urbanization and industrialization as indicators of a developing society, but disagree on the role of population growth or decline in modernization. By limiting the population, vital resources could be used for economic progress and not be diverted and wasted to feeding more mouths. Politics determine birth control programs developed countries justify their support for population control in developing the latter as conservative society. So, in the perils of overpopulation is, kumbaga, tinutukoy dito kung paano maiiwasan yung pagdami ng tao o yung pag-overpopulation ng isang bansa. Sinasabi rin dito na yung may possibility na ang birth control is isa siya sa maging way para hindi dumami yung population ng isang bansa. But meron namang mga country is actually dito sa birth control na to is meron nang nagsasagawa ng country dito. If I'm not mistaken, is sa Japan and China at the same time sa Korea, meron silang sinusunod doon na batas which is 2 to 3 children only. Then kapag naglampas doon is kailangan nilang ipamigay yung anak nila doon sa mga taong walang anak para maiwasan na rin yung pagdami ng population nila. But although, let us example, although ginagawa nila itong birth control na ito is hindi pa rin naiiwasan yung pagdami ng population. Example natin is sa China, di ba? Meron silang kinokontrol na meron silang birth control. But isa din sila sa bansang may pinakamaraming population. So, itong birth control na to actually in the different countries is hindi rin siya accepted minsan lalo na kapag yung countries is masyadong religious. So, yun yung sinasabi dito sa the perils of overpopulation. So the perils of overpopulation is kumbaga pag masyadong overpopulation yung isang country is maaaring yung mapagkukunan natin ng pagkain is kumbaga magkulang or magiging kulang para sa mga tao at hindi siya may bahagi ng maayos kapag masyadong marami yung population within a certain country. So now next is global migration. So kagaya nga na sinabi ko kanina sa introduction is global migration is ito na yung it's an act of processing of moving in a certain country, or in another place or city. So migration crossing the boundary of political or administrative united certain minimum period. So dito sa global migration or sa migration is kumbaga it's involved dito yung paglilipat ng tao sa isang lugar. Of course, meron silang dahilan kung bakit nila gustong lumipat sa ibang lugar. So malalaman na natin dito kung ano yung types of migration. So we have the two types of migration. The first one is the international migration. It refers to move from one area, a province, district, or municipality to another within one country. So dito sa internal migration from the word itself, internal, kumbaga sa loob lang din. For example, is dito sa Cotabato is mag-move ako in another city or in another municipality. Kumbaga lilipat ako ng titirahan from Cotabato City to Davao City. Yun ang sinasabing internal migration. Within a certain country lang din siya nagaganap or sa loob lang din ng country. Pangalawa is the internal migration. It means crossing the frontiers which separate one of the world's approximately two states from another. So international migration, it's from the word itself, international. International, for example, Philippines to South Korea. Yan yung international migration, yung paglilipat ng isang tao from another country to another country. So, pinagkaiba nila sa internal migration kay international migration is internal migration is nangyayari lang siya within a certain country. Kumbaga sa loob lang din ng country nagaganap yung act of processing nila in moving. Si international migration naman is nagaganap siya within a two countries or different countries na involved sa paglilipat ng isang tao. Next is we have the one way in which states seeks to improve control is by dividing up international migrants into categories. So hindi lahat ng tao, for example ako is nag-move ako sa ibang lugar or sa another country is doon ako magsistay. Minsan meron silang types or meron silang tawag dyan, tinatawag kung ano yung tawag sa taong lumipat dito. What is the reason? Kumbaga gano'n. Kaya nila ito dinivide to acknowledge what is the reason of that person kung bakit sila lumipat sa another country. So for example is that the temporary labor migrants, also known as guest workers, men and women who migrate for a limited period. Example, Japan and Germany will need workers from demographically young countries like Philippines. Ito na yung mga labor migrants, which is also known as guest workers. Ito sila is hindi sila permanente doon, which is temporary lang sila in a certain country. Kumbaga, meron silang for example, meron silang mission for a work and hindi sila magsistay sa isang country. Next one is highly skilled and business migrants, people with qualification as managers, executive, professionals, technicians, or similar who moves within the internal labor markets of transitional corporation and international organizations. Example, working population in countries like the United States move to more skilled career, their economies will require migrants to work jobs that their local workers are beginning to reject. So, dito naman sa kung si temporary labor migrants, they're only temporary within a certain country. Si highly skilled and business migrants naman ito na yung mga taong may higher qualification in terms of their job within they are needed in the certain business. Sila yung mga taong kinakailangan sa isang business of a certain country. Kaya sila need pumunta sa ibang country. Next naman is the irregular or migrants, also known as undocumented or illegal migrants, people who enter a country usually in search of employment without the necessary documents and permits. Dito sa irregular migrants, also known as undocumented, or yung mga illegal migrants, as ito sila is, for example, dyan is yung mga OFW na kulang yung mga papers nila or yung mga documents nila. May tawag dyan sa kanila is yung TNT or yung tago ng tago. It's example of these illegal migrants. They are moving to another country with illegal documents. Ito sila yung mga illegal migrants. Next naman is refugees. According to the 1951 Convention relating to the status of refugees, a refugee is a person residing outside his or her country of nationality who is unable or unwilling to return because of a well-founded fear to persecution on account of race, religion, nationality, membership on a particular social group or politician opinion. Dito naman is example dito sa refugees is, pag sinasabi natin refugee kasi is, ito yung mga taong sa pilitan pinaalis sa kanilang certain country para maka-escape or maiwasan nila yung gulo dito sa refugees na to. So, tinatawag din silang migrants because they are moving to another country to escape the war, or let us say for the discrimination of race. Kaya tinatawag din silang migrants. So, yung refugee, kagaya nga ng sinabi ko kanina, is kaya sila umaalis sa kanilang bansa, it is because of the reason na it may be merong war doon or hindi nila feel yung security sa kanilang mismong bansa. Yun yung refugees. Next naman is asylum seekers, people who have crossed borders in search of protection but who may not fulfill the strict criteria laid down by the 1951 Convention. Ito naman is yung mga taong sa pilitan ding o umaalis across the borders of a certain country. Example dyan is, ito yung, kung napanood yung girl, which is yung tumakas from North Korea to USA, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Umalis siya sa North Korea. It is because of the types of the government na meron sa North Korea. Isa siyang example ng asylum seekers because umalis siya doon sa bansa na yon. It is because yung bansa kanyang tinirahan before is masyadong strict in terms of their countrymen, di ba? Alam natin ang North Korea is one of the strict country around the world. So yung babae na yon is isa siyang example ng asylum seekers because umalis siya from the North Korea. Tatlo yung bansang napuntahan niya para lang makalagpas doon sa border ng North Korea. North Korea to South Korea to China and then to USA until doon siya nakapag-asawa. So yun yung isa siyang example ng asylum seekers. Next naman is family members, also known as family reunion or family reunification migrants. Migrants who join people have already entered migration country under one of the above categories. Many countries as well recognized legal immigrants. So, example naman dito is yung mga example dito is, kumbaga meron tayong kababayan abroad or let us say meron tayong kapamilya within another country na nagkaroon na ng pamilya and doon na nanirahan is tayo mga naiwan dito is kumbaga kinakailangan natin pumunta doon para magkaroon din ng tayo ng reunion. So yun yung tinatawag na family members reunion or the family reunification migrants. Next naman is the return migrants. Ito yung for example, ito yung mga balikbayan. For example, from galing ka ng South Korea, galing ka ng Philippines, then umalis ka papuntang South Korea, then bumalik ka again in the Philippines. So, let us say, umalis ka ng Philippines, pumunta ka ng South Korea to have a work para maghanap ng trabaho. So, bumalik ka ulit ng Philippines, tinatawag ka ng return migrants. So, next is the problem of human trafficking. So, actually because of this migration, no, because of this global migration, as actually nakakaranas din yung iba nating tao or yung iba nating kababayan about this human trafficking brought by this migration, kasi nga dinadala sila to another country to solve them, or gumawa ng iba't ibang illegal doing para lang ma-save or magkaroon sila ng magkaroon ng pera yung taong naninikal sa kanila. So the problem of human trafficking, the United States Federal Bureau of Investigation lists human trafficking as the largest criminal activity worldwide. Human trafficking has been very profitable, earning syndicates, smugglers, and corrupt states official profits up as high as $150 billion a year in 2014. Governments, the private sector, and civil society groups have worked together to combat and to solve events. So this human trafficking is kagaya nga ng sinabi ko kanina, is dito rin sa global migration, as nabibilang kumbaga parang dahil na rin sa global migration, is nagkakaroon din ng way yung ibang syndicates para idaan nila yung human trafficking na kanilang gagawin dun sa mga taong victims nila. So itong human trafficking na to, yun yung kumbaga yun yung isa din sa negative effects din nitong global migration na to, is yun nga nagkakaroon ng way yung mga syndicates para dalhin yung mga victims nila sa ibang bansa para i-sold out din sa mga customers nila. Example of that, 'di ba? Yung mga ibang syndicates like smugglers and corrupt states. Then example naman is another causes naman ng migration, is isa din sa causes ng global migration, is that yung global migration, yung causes niya is yung paghahanap natin ng malaking sahod. For example, here in the Philippines, if you are a teacher, then you think that your salary is not enough to provide the needs of your family. Then, kumaga para sa iyo is umaalis ka dito sa Pilipinas para pumunta sa ibang bansa, kasi nga sa tingin mo is mas malaki ang kita doon kesa dito. So another thing naman the causes of migration is that global migration is that in terms of the safety. Kumbaga kung feel mo na hindi ka safe, kagaya kanina sa refugee, yung sinabi ko, which is they are escaping to their own country para lang makaalis doon kasi nga feel nila hindi sila safe. Isa din sa causes ng migration na to, as global migration na ito, is umaalis yung isang tao or ng family within to a certain country para kasi nga feel nila is hindi sila safe. For example, dito sa Philippines, umalis ka kasi nga pumunta ka sa ibang lugar or ibang bansa kasi nga feel mo hindi ka safe dito sa Pilipinas. So, kung merong causes of global migration, is meron namang effects of the global migration. Isa sa effects niyan is yung global migration is, for example, yung mga parents natin na nag-OFW, as effects niyan is yung mga pamilyang naiwan niya, let us say yung mga children na naiwan niya, may possibility na may engage yung mga children na in terms of bad doings like drug, gagamit na sila ng mga pinagbabawal na gamot, like that. So another thing naman ng effects of the migration is that kukonti na rin yung taong maninilbihan within a certain country kasi doon na sila naiipon sa ibang bansa. But then ang positive effects naman ng global migration in terms of our economy is kumbaga aangat yung ating economy. It is because of the dollars na pinapadala ng mga tao nagtatrabaho sa ibang bansa dito sa Pilipinas, for example, like that. So that's all of my report. My report is all about global demographic or global demography. and the global migration. So another information is makukuha nyo po sa aking dalawang kagrupo, which is about din dito sa global demography and global demographics. So once again, I am Jovelyn P. Minandang from BSSW2A, and this is my video presentation about the contemporary world. My topic is all about global demography or global demographic and the global migration. So thank you.